So today I would like to ask a very important question to everyone, which is, what if you are the one? A lot of people believe that someone else is going to arise or show up or appear, and that person is going to have all the answers or be able to change the current situation. But what if you're the one? So there was a famous story about a little religious group. They were living in this monastery in a remote place, and things were falling apart. It was not going well. And one day, a holy man came to visit them, and everybody was watching him and wondering what he was doing, what he was thinking. And he seemed like a very wise man. And as he was getting ready to leave, and they visited him one by one, and they said, "What have you noticed? Or do you have any wisdom to give?" And what he did was he turned around to each one and said, "Well, someone in this group is the one. Someone in this group is the anointed one." So the monks were all very surprised by this. And after he left, all of them started wondering, like, wow, is it brother so-and-so? Is it brother so-and-so? And they started watching each other and noticing, well, could he be the one? Could he be the one? And then finally, they even had to ask, could it be me? Could I be the one? And as a result of this, each one of them began to say, well, wait a minute. If I'm the one, then what should I do to help the situation? And based on that, each one started acting differently. Instead of complaining, they started doing more. Instead of looking for problems, they started looking for solutions. And because they didn't know if the one was the other brother, then they also started paying attention to each other, listening to each other, really hearing God's voice in each other. So a year later, when the stranger returned, the place was completely different. Everybody was doing so many things. The place was flourishing. People were truly respectful of each other. And then they asked him, they said, well, now that you're back, you can tell us, who was the one? And he said to them, you all are. So my reason for bringing up this story is, if each one of us thinks, maybe I'm the one, maybe I'm the person who has to bring the solutions, we start to act differently in our lives. If you can imagine a group of people being shipwrecked, and they're on a lonely island and there's nothing there, right? And maybe at first they're all sitting around miserable and cold and wet and maybe injured, and they're all complaining and they're worried and they're anxious, and they're like, oh, when is someone going to come to help us? When is this going to happen? When is that going to happen? And of course, a few days passes and nothing happens, right? But if instead each one says, well, wait a minute, what can I do to change this situation? What happens? Well, one of them is good at starting fires, and another one is good at catching fish. Another one is good at building shelters, and another one is good at finding medicinal plants or herbs. When and if they finally do get rescued, what are the people going to find? They're going to find a living, thriving community in which everyone is valued and in which everyone is fully contributing. So my point being that the one is not one. The one is each one. As each one of us decides, yeah, I can make a difference. I can make a change. The change starts with me doing everything I can do. Then that catches on. And then other people also begin to act and feel and proceed in that way, and many solutions come. So instead of worrying about waiting for someone else or something else or some group or some magical thing to happen to solve the problems that you see, maybe ask yourself, am I the one?